in the darkest corners of forgotten lands, where religion fades and the earth still whispers the names of old gods, folk horror was born. These films captured the eerie beauty of rural isolation, the madness of superstition, and the terror of rituals long abandoned by modern man. Today, we journey through the golden age of folk horror, from eerie European legends to nightmarish pagan cults. These are the 10 films that define the strange, spiritual, and deeply unsettling world of folk horror. 10. Vi, 1967. The first true Russian horror film, Vi blends Slavic mythology with haunting atmosphere and surreal imagery. Based on the story by Nikolai Gogol, it follows a young priest forced to pray over the corpse of a witch for 3 nights inside a decaying chapel where reality bends and demonic visions crawl from the shadows. What begins as a test of faith becomes a nightmarish battle between man and ancient evil. The film's practical effects and grotesque creature designs were decades ahead of their time, creating one of the most bizarre and influential folk horror experiences in cinema history. 9. Eyes of Fire, 1983. An obscure American gem, Eyes of Fire takes us into the untamed wilderness of 18th century America, where settlers are haunted by the forest itself. After being exiled from their community, a group of outcasts takes refuge in a cursed valley, but the land has its own memory and its own monsters. The film's hallucinatory visuals and pagan undertones turn the frontier into a place of spiritual decay, where every tree hides a ghost and every shadow carries judgment. It's one of the most overlooked masterpieces of American folk horror, dripping with mood and raw, unsettling energy. 8. Dark Waters, 1993. Blending religious imagery with Lovecraftian despair, Dark Waters follows a young woman who travels to a remote island convent after her father's death. But this sanctuary hides more than prayer and penance. It hides something ancient, something that watches from beneath the waves. Shot in desolate stone corridors and wind-beaten cliffs, the film's suffocating atmosphere feels like a fever dream trapped between faith and madness. Its slow, unraveling mystery and nightmarish visuals make it a cult treasure for anyone who loves the feeling of discovering something truly forbidden. 7. The Shout, 1978. The Shout is less about what you see and more about what you hear. Starring Alan Bates as a mysterious wanderer who claims to have mastered a deadly supernatural shout learned from Aboriginal magic. This film is a psychological descent into control, power, and insanity. Set in the hauntingly quiet English countryside, it mixes pagan folklore with psychological tension, asking whether evil lies in the sound itself or in the mind that believes it. It's a disturbing, elegant exploration of how old beliefs can echo in modern times. 6. The Blood on Satan's Claw, 1971. Set in 17th century England, this film captures the raw, earthy roots of folk horror. After a farmer unearths a demonic skull, his village slowly descends into madness and ritualistic violence. Teenagers form a cult, ancient evils resurface, and innocence turns to corruption under the gaze of something older than Christianity itself. Every frame drips with dread and rural beauty. The soil, the fog, the fields, all pulsing with sinister life. It's a key piece of British folk horror that perfectly embodies the genre's blend of superstition, temptation, and fear of the land.
That is all I need to know.
5. The Wicker Man, 1973. A masterpiece of tension and atmosphere, The Wicker Man tells the story of a devout police officer who travels to a remote Scottish island in search of a missing girl. But the locals don't share his beliefs. They worship the old gods of fertility and the harvest. As he digs deeper, the line between faith and madness collapses in one of cinema's most shocking climaxes. Part mystery, part musical, part pagan nightmare, The Wicker Man is one of the most influential horror films ever made, a timeless warning about blind faith, both religious and cultural.
It's Rowan.
4. Pumpkinhead, 1988. A tragic story of vengeance and grief, Pumpkinhead fuses American Gothic horror with rural superstition. After his son's death, a grieving father seeks revenge through a local witch who summons a demon known as Pumpkinhead. But vengeance comes at a terrible cost, and soon man and monster are bound together in guilt and sorrow. With its stunning creature design and emotional depth, the film feels like a dark fairy tale born from rural legend, a perfect example of how folk horror evolved into something both monstrous and human. Three, Curse of the Crimson Altar, 1968. Starring horror icons Christopher Lee and Boris Karloff, this film mixes witchcraft, psychedelic visuals, and Gothic decadence. A man visits an old English manor searching for his missing brother, only to uncover an ancient cult dedicated to the worship of a demonic goddess. The film blends occult ritual and swinging 60s style, creating an atmosphere both seductive and sinister. It's an early bridge between Gothic horror and the more earthy, ritualistic tone of later folk horror.
Now it is complete. Lavinia, this child has betrayed the trust I placed in her.
2. Valerie and Her Week of Wonders, 1970. A surreal fairy tale that feels like it was dreamt by both angels and demons. Valerie and Her Week of Wonders explores a young girl's sexual awakening in a world filled with vampires, priests, and forbidden desire. Part horror, part art film, it uses the language of myth and symbolism to turn puberty itself into a nightmare. Every scene is drenched in religious imagery, moonlit forests, and dreamlike confusion, making it one of the most haunting and beautiful examples of folk horror's poetic side. 1. Sukkubus, 1989. Set high in the Swiss Alps, Sukkubus is a tale of isolation, desire, and myth. A group of men spend the summer tending cattle far from civilization, until a mysterious woman appears claiming to be lost. But her arrival awakens something primal and ancient in them, and in the mountain itself. With its breathtaking scenery and slow descent into madness, Succubus turns pagan myth into psychological horror, a reminder that nature itself can be both seductress and executioner. It's an eerie, hypnotic masterpiece that closes this journey through the golden age of folk horror with a whisper and a curse. If you enjoyed this journey into the hidden corners of cinema, don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and most importantly, subscribe to Cinemira for more strange, forgotten, and fascinating films. Your support keeps this adventure alive. And trust me, there's so much more to discover together.